My next guest is Rich Czyz. He is a author, educator, and speaker. He started his career as a fifth grade teacher and has served as a basic skills teacher, instructional coach, elementary supervisor, and director of curriculum and instruction. Rich is currently the proud principal of the Yardville Elementary School in New Jersey and co-founder of 4o'clockfaculty.com, as well as author of several books, including The 4 O'Clock Faculty, The Secret Sauce, and his newest book, Autopilot, which came out in October, which we'll be discussing on the podcast. Rich is passionate about engaging all stakeholders in meaningful and relevant learning opportunities. Well, welcome to the podcast, Rich.
Thanks, Dana. Glad to be here.
We'll start off with the question I ask everyone. Tell me about a time when you were in the trenches and managed to crawl out.
Yeah, so I think we end up in the trenches a lot as educators. So probably one of the biggest things that I have learned over the years is intention. An example of being in the trenches is when you kind of get stuck. And I'm a school administrator, so I've been stuck where I'm not getting into classrooms enough. There's too much on my plate. I'm trying to do too many things at once. And so I think when I get stuck in those spots, it's a matter of thinking about intention, right? How can I be more intentional in getting into classrooms? And I think for me, that's when I'm most stuck in the trenches, is when I'm stuck in the office, not being able to get out and get out into those classrooms.
Mm-hmm. Do you have certain productivity tools that you use to maybe streamline some of those admin tasks more? Does it not always go as planned?
Yeah, so as an administrator, you're constantly facing the fires. So one of the things that I do within my schedule is I designate a daily disaster downtime. So that's a specific block that goes on my schedule each day. So I might call it, Manic Monday, Tornado Tuesday, Wildfire Wednesday, where I will leave a 30 to 40, maybe even an hour long block within the calendar. That way, if a fire does come up, a discipline issue, facilities emergency, anything that might happen that's going to kind of destroy my day, I do have a block of uninterrupted time to kind of add whatever goal I was working on during that time that the fire came up later on in my schedule. So that tends to help me kind of block out some of those fires and be more intentional about how I'm spending my time.
So we're here to talk about Autopilot, practical productivity for school leaders. It was released in October. So talk to me a little bit about some of those tools school leaders can use, and why maybe you named it Autopilot, because obviously school leadership cannot run on autopilot, but maybe using tools in this book would help you run a little bit more smoothly.
Yeah, so Autopilot, the idea behind it is really to find a way to run the school so that the school is not running you. And I think for many educators, especially administrators now, there's a lot on the plate. There's a lot that's added to the plate on a regular basis. So Autopilot is really about finding those systems that will help you to be more intentional. It could be automating some of your tasks and not specifically using technology to automate, but also, working with others to delegate in order to automate some of your process as well, making sure that there are others in the school involved in those things, and really developing those systems to help you be more productive. So, like I said, leaving white space within your schedule to leave time for some of those things. Elimination is really a big one, is making sure that everything that we're doing is really providing value to our day. And, I know for a lot of administrators, it's doing those things that might be nostalgic or, we've always done it this way. And when we can get rid of some of those things, that leaves us more valuable time to do more meaningful work.
So when you're talking about maybe that automation piece, I think nowadays there's a fine line between maybe having a lot of things written by ChatGPT and not. I mean, if I think it's like the same as when a teacher might use ChatGPT or students, right? You got to discern like what you're using it for and how much is coming from that. So what would you say are okay tasks maybe to use AI for in like admin tasks such as paperwork?
Yeah, so I recently had the opportunity to present with a colleague. We were presenting on productivity, and I was working with one of our technology coaches in the district, and she
Mhm.
was sharing the 80-20 rule, right?
Okay.
That if you're using AI to generate something for a task,
Hmm.
that AI may generate 80% of it, but you're doing the remaining 20%.
Hmm.
So if that's, let's say, an email that you're trying to generate for a parent, you may have AI help with that, but that ultimately, I've heard the phrase "human in the loop."
Hmm.
We have used the phrase "human in the lead." Right? You
Hmm.
ultimately want to take the lead over that message that you're sending out. So, I think other administrators have gotten in trouble with, they quickly generate using Chat GPT or Gemini or whatever tool they're using, send out the message without checking over it, and I think that's where people get in trouble. So I think if you're allowing AI to do 80% of the work and you're doing that
Hmm.
remaining 20, making sure it's in your voice, it's what you're trying to say, and you're using that to help you. I think that's a perfectly acceptable use of AI.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, just be a critical user of it and be, double checking as well, right? Because yeah, you can't trust it 100%, and it really depends on also the situation, I think, as well. So, talk to me a little bit about your previous books. So, I read 4 O'Clock Faculty back when it came out. I think that was 2018, 2019, something like that.
2017, I think, at this point.
Okay. And then, so Rogue Leader is a follow up to 4 O'Clock Faculty.
That's
Okay, so
correct.
tell me how you got started with the 4 o'clock faculty concept and that personalized PD. Was that something that you were doing at your school and then decided to write about?
Yeah, so as a teacher, I taught fifth grade. I was at an elementary level. I taught fifth grade math and science. And actually, the first year I was hired, I got hired on like August 29th to start on September 1st. And it was kind of a crash course um, in becoming a teacher.
Okay.
And, suddenly my principal throwing, 28 fifth graders at me and expecting that I was going to, learn and that my principal was going to provide professional development for me. The year I got hired, I was also hired along with 14 other first year teachers in our building. Um, and, my expectation was, okay, it's somebody else's responsibility to provide professional
Mm-hmm.
development for me. And I think now as a current administrator, I could see how tough that would have been for my principal at the time. And so it was kind of just developing that sense of, what, maybe this isn't anybody else's responsibility other than mine. And so I would go out and try to find every professional development opportunity that I could. And
Mm-hmm.
I think it was something I enjoyed. It was something where I loved going and learning new things and be able to bring them back into my classroom. And that mentality has just kind of stuck throughout my career. And I think that's kind of where the seeds of 4 O'Clock Faculty and then later on Rogue Leader came from. It's really about finding those people who are going to help you grow as an educator, as a leader, and really collaborating and working with those people once you find them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So back when you were personalizing your own PD journey, was there incentive in mind to gain credits to go up on the salary scale? Because that's kind of what I did back in the day, finding my own PD as well.
Yeah, so I think there are several states that do that. New Jersey, our system kind of works a little bit differently. I know I work in New Jersey. I live in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania offers professional development credits each year, which does help towards salary guide. But for me, it was really just about becoming a better teacher, right?
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, I went back and got my master's. in administration, and then kind of went the administrative route. But yeah, it's definitely trying to be the best teacher and educator that I could be, and I think that's kind of where it stems from.
Mhm. So in your school currently, are teachers then encouraged to find these opportunities within the district, outside the district, and um, are they then free to use professional days to sometimes travel to conferences? How does that work?
Yeah, so we have a very large district where I'm currently at in Hamilton Township in New Jersey. We are 24 buildings, 17 elementary, 3 middle, 3 high, and then 1 alternative setting. And we really try to let everybody go to the conferences that they need to go to, they want to go to. Um, I run 2 meetings a month in our building where we often focus on professional development rather than kind of the logistical piece. And
Okay.
then also, our district offers weekly professional development sessions. So a lot of it is virtual, a lot of it is technology based, where teachers have the opportunity to log on, once or twice a week after school to learn about the latest and greatest. So we have a wonderful technology department and technology facilitators who lead those sessions, and they are amazing at what they do, kind of sharing the latest and greatest with teachers. So I think teachers do have every opportunity. I love to promote professional development to improve. I love getting into classrooms, providing feedback, ideas, suggestions that can kind of help teachers. So, yeah, I think it's all about everyone kind of finding, that learning for themselves, but also collaborating with others in order to do that.
Mhm, mhm. So on those virtual PDs, are those for pretty much anybody, depending on their role and how they might want to use the tech in their classrooms?
Yeah, so a lot of times it might be geared towards a certain grade level. So some of them
Okay.
might run K to 5, some of them might run 6 to 12. Some of the technology tools may be a K to 12 where anybody could incorporate it, across the grade levels. The thing that I always kind of wrote about in the first book in the 4 o'clock faculty was how we find things for everyone involved. And the example I always gave was the school nurse, right?
Okay.
When I was planning professional development for everyone, the school nurse is always forgotten, right? Because as an educator, I don't really know what the school nurse needs, but I know that they need something. So, we try to find something for everyone, but offer things that are available to anyone who may be able to use them. So.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, not something I think a lot of the time, the other people who aren't instructional or, nurses, counselors, etc. Like there aren't a lot of offerings for them on those PD days, and if they want to, find opportunities as well. But I think putting the time into making options available, like you said, are great for those educators that want to either get the salary increment, find out more about their craft, connect with others, right? And then those PD days, whether they're virtual or in person, that gives people in your building a chance to connect with others at other elementary schools within your district, right?
Yeah, we've done something in our building the past few years called PD Lift.
Okay.
So it's an acronym, Learning and Innovation from Teachers. And it kind of started a couple of years ago. I hired 2 brand new kindergarten teachers. We only have 2 sections of each grade level in our building. So suddenly I had 2 first-year kindergarten teachers and no kind of expert on the grade level. So we partnered with 2 other schools in the area, and we would meet monthly, once a month, and we would rotate schools where they had a chance to talk with the kindergarten teachers in the other buildings. And I think it kind of grew from there, but it really gave everybody the opportunity to talk with others outside the building, get a different viewpoint, get different ideas for how things were being done in those other buildings. And I think it really helped all of the teachers across the board kind of grow as educators, right? They were learning what others were doing, how they were doing it. And again, just finding those others that can help you grow
Mhm.
as an educator.
Yeah, yeah, definitely when you need some support from a veteran teacher and there's two new at a grade level. Also, you tend to speak at conferences, you consult some with other schools. Talk to me a little bit about some of your speaking and maybe you'll be at ISTE this summer. So talk to me about what's coming up.
Yeah, so I actually just had the chance to speak at the Pennsylvania Technology Conference. It is called P&C.
Mhm.
That was in Hershey, Pennsylvania. This summer, I'm kind of currently working on my schedule for where I'll be, looking at ISTE for the summer. And then lots of times I will do other speaking engagements with schools during the summer as well. So the other thing we love to do here in New Jersey are coffee EDUs.
Okay.
So we will pick a spot, whether it's a Starbucks or a local cafe, and we will show up on a Sunday morning just to chat. No set agenda, just conversations to help us all kind of grow as educators. So, um, we normally do those on Sunday mornings once a month. But
Mhm.
that's a wonderful opportunity, informal, for everybody to kind of get together and learn from each other.
Mhm. And that would be within the network of educators that work in that Pennsylvania, New Jersey area.
Yeah, typically, like I work in central New Jersey. I live just across the bridge in Pennsylvania. So, it's usually a lot of people from the district that I work in,
Okay.
some who have left the district, others who I might have connected with over social media. So, yeah, we have a pretty good group that tends to love to get together to learn like that. So, it is helpful for everyone.
Mhm. On your website, you also have a blog. So talk to me a little bit about maybe a recent blog post. Sometimes you write about productivity or PD, but also sometimes about things that are happening at your school. So talk to me about maybe something interesting you wrote in the past week or two.
Yeah, so one of my most recent posts was called "Be More Boring,"
Okay.
and kind of something that I've been struggling with is um, you tend to try to do as much as possible at all times, and a lot of times you overextend yourself.
Mhm.
And so my post on "Be More Boring" was just the idea of, what, sometimes it's okay to sit at home and read a book and to kind of take that step back, to not be, um, sending emails all night, to not be on social media all night,
Yeah.
um, and that it's okay to be more boring sometimes. So, I think it's I think our hustle culture
Yeah.
that kind of impacts everybody. But I think it's something where sometimes it's okay to take a step back, and I hope that others feel that and are able to do so.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I totally get that. Like people feel like they need to be on 100% of the time, even if they're not at the school. But yeah, it helps your mental health. It helps you not get burnt out when you're just chilling, right? Chilling, watching something on TV or taking a walk or something like that. So it helps you last longer in the profession. Well, we've had a great conversation today around your books and the PD that you help plan in your district. Out of everything we've talked about today, what's one thing you'd like listeners to remember?
So I think that it is that idea of being intentional, right?
Okay.
I think no matter what you're doing, whether it's professional development, whether it's productivity, whether it's teaching, learning, that you are intentional in the decisions that you're making. So whether it's going out and finding the professional development that's right for you, whether it is taking the time that you need to get to the meaningful goals, as an administrator, where you're closing your door and letting others know that it's okay to close the door sometimes, because you're intentional about how you're spending your time. So I think that's the one piece of advice I can give everybody. It would be to be intentional about all of your decision making.
Mhm, mhm. Where can people connect with you and find you online?
Sure. So the website is 4o'clockfaculty.com. That's FOUR, o'clockfaculty.com. And then I'm also on X at RA Czyz, as well as LinkedIn also.
Okay. Well, that was a great conversation we've had today. Thank you so much for being my guest on the Out of the Trenches podcast.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Dana.